Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Honorable members, I now invite the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy. Order, honorable members. May I just make an appeal before the honorable minister speaks? Honorable members, and honorable members, please, man, let's allow the speakers to address us and let's not drown them. Allow them to be audible. From where we are, it's difficult for us to hear when you are loud. I mean, there's no reason for you not to heckle, but you can do it in a very organized and decent manner. For now, honorable members are very loud. Honorable members are very loud. Thank you very much, honorable members. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula, Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Mr. Amos Masondo, His Excellency, the President of the Republic, President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, honorable members. One thing that is important is that there are two sources of knowledge, is experience and studying a subject. Now, if you don't do both, anything you say is an imagination. I can assure you that you don't study, you don't experience, you don't know what you're talking about. Now, let me start by reminding beneficiaries of apartheid, denialists, and apologists on what we've been dealing with over the past 30 years. Following the work of the architect, Dr. Malan, when consolidating apartheid government, the apartheid master artisan, Hendrik Verwoerd, said, "We are building a system with deep roots that no future government will ever undo." Many people who criticize our government, including some in this parliament, argue that we must have done everything within 30 years, never refer to atrocities of apartheid government. They conveniently forget that this country was colonized for 342 years, of which 46 were under apartheid. That is what we are swimming against, and we must continue swimming against that reality. It's a reality we must swim against, and throughout this period, the bastion of apartheid was the mining sector, which was the roughest in terms of implementing apartheid policies. I experienced it. I couldn't put my hand on a blasting certificate because it was reserved for a scheduled person, which was a term to tell a white person. Since South Africa attained democracy in 1994, the government efforts were aimed at achieving a dream of transformation, with a particular focus on ownership, on management, and procurement. Hence, we enacted the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act in 2002 and introduced the Mining Charter in 2004. During the State of the Nation address, the President reported on the work done to transform the economic sectors, more so the mining sector. Unfortunately, some members of this House cannot see progress, even if it hits them in the face. They can't see it, it hits them in the face, they can't feel it, they can't see it. Now, when we did research 2 years ago, which is a function of studying, we discovered that at the 9 major mining companies that were studied, each one of them didn't have less than 50% of management structure being black. That is research information, it's not thumb-sucking. Two, we did see that in procurement initiative created a lot of business people who are not necessarily seen as part of the mining sector, but have developed on the back of mining. Some ultra-reptarians in and outside the house question the figure black ownership in mining sector as quantified by the president, with one of them suggesting that it is less than 10%. It would help for people to do research of these things before they express their opinion. One, if they spent time and studied the industry, they would have known that if you talk coal, only one major company is white. The majority of them are black. Even if you take Seriti, you take Tungela, you take Exaro, the list goes on and on. All of them will not be under 30%, will not be under 10%. They would know that in the manganese sector, if you talk of the African rainbow mineral, Galahad Manganese, Tsimbintle Holdings, and many others, black ownership in mining companies is a long list. I can break it down and even go to gold, where ARM is dominant, where Harmony is dominant, and the main shareholder is ARM. In the PGMs, Nkwe Platinum, Ivanhoe, Palaburo Mining Company have considerable black ownership representation. So when you quantify numbers, you don't do something that says less than 10% without doing quality assessment of what is available there. Now, if you look at all these companies, you can see that there is practical progress being made. If one adds this and say it is less than 10%, I cannot even talk of their mathematics. I can only talk of their arithmetic being flawed. Now, cognizant of the fact that mines are born out of exploration, we have just launched an exploration fund. It's never late to do the right thing, unless you are a beneficiary of other things earlier. If you have never been a beneficiary, it's never late. We'll continue doing the right thing because the future is ahead of us. We can inherit the past, but we must build the future. And if you don't know what it is to be under apartheid, you are a beneficiary. You will never know the beauty of future. You will only imagine the beauty of the past. Now, it is therefore important that we invest in exploration so that the future of this very important sector continues to be bright. We firmly believe that South Africa holds significant quantities of minerals needed for the transition from high carbon emission to low carbon emission, which informs the view of our mining industry is a sunrise industry. We have got the critical minerals, they're in this country, we must discover them and we must exploit them. Having appointed a service provider for design, implementation and maintenance of mining license and cadastral system, we are optimistic that this system will soon help us accelerate the processing and prospecting of the mining industry. Let me, because of the pressure of time, go to the contribution of mining for the future of the energy sector. You know, it's very good, President, that you wrote a speech for Mr. Steenhuisen. He didn't have to write a speech, you wrote it for him. He only talked about Dintswalo. Now, despite the obstacles of apartheid government-guided constitution, this government continues to strive for a national democratic society in which people enjoy equal rights and equal access to basic services. Like Dintswalo, which you wrote a speech for Mr. Steenhuisen about, have access to electricity today. Since 2019, we have successfully connected 776 households of electricity, taking us to over 92% of South Africans having access to electricity. Now, if you never have access to electricity, you will shout load shedding. You will even forget that in your own house, when there is a box and you load it with a number of electrical appliances, it trips. When you take access to electricity from 34 to 92, you are loading that infrastructure. And you must appreciate it and work on the load shedding. Now, as part of the concerted effort of secure, reliable energy supply, government introduced independent power producers procurement program. Since the launch in 2011, the DMRE has, through the IPP office, procured a total of 13,266.9 megawatts. It has procured that from 140 IPPs whose technology are based on renewables, diesel, and battery storage. Of this capacity, 7,362.2 megawatts was from 95 IPPs who are currently connected to the grid and supplying the much-needed electricity. But it puts to our discussion whether you can do renewables without base load. A combination of the two is what we require to deal with the challenges facing us. But there's ill-informed pressure put by the DA that go for renewable, switch off coal, go to renewables, is actually ill-informed because it says destroy base load, go to renewables. Intermittent behavior of this is not taken into account because it is fashionable and nice to do so. Now, the remaining 145 IPPs, a combined capacity of 5,942 megawatts, are either in construction or preparing to reach commercial close, and therefore, under the administration, 5,939 megawatts from 46 IPPs were procured, resulting in a number of them being on the grid or a various stage of development. Let me go to NERSA has concurred with the Minister of Electricity, Mr. Ramokgopa, that 2,500 nuclear capacity has to be connected. It is gazetted, it is on the stage of being launched. It is Mailam, who is a shadow energy minister, who can be a disaster if he can be a minister. Now, it's a problem. So the reality of the matter is that is where we are. We are going to be undoing apartheid system against the drive by many in the opposition. In conclusion, let me refer a little bit, Honorable President, to what they celebrate, called cadre deployment, whatever. What it has done, it has changed a situation where every DG was a white male in 1994. It has changed the reality where every judge was a white male, where every mayor was a white male. The cadre development has changed that reality. So, run to court, do everything, but the reality of the matter is, we will do it. You will get your report, but we'll continue deploying people who are capable. That's it. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I thank you. Honorable